It really is a perfect time to subscribe to Patriots Today by Chat Sports because we got a big offseason ahead here. Bill Belichick, he could be gone. If he is, that's going to be a huge talking point. Who could possibly replace him? Could a GM search be underway? Lots to get into if that happens. Top 2 pick in the NFL Draft is almost a lock at this point. It's going to be a busy offseason for the draft as well. And guess what? We're going to talk free agency also because the Patriots have a ton of cap space. Hit that subscribe button. Join the channel for free. We are closing in on 7,000 subscribers. Videos almost every single day here on Patriots Today. I'm Harrison Graham from Chat Sports. Don't look now, but New England has a very realistic chance of earning the number 1 pick in the 2024 NFL Draft. I mentioned a few moments ago that a top 2 pick is almost a lock unless New England surprises us all and wins a couple of games here. But you look at the updated NFL Draft order, and yes, it's going to require Carolina winning at least 1 game, but the strength of schedules have evened up exactly here. And the lower the strength of schedule is, that is the initial tiebreaker. So if the Patriots and Panthers, which that pick will go to the Bears, obviously, end up with the same record, whoever has the lower strength of schedule at season's end would get the nod. And a few weeks ago, it didn't seem like this would even up enough, but now things have certainly changed. Now, we do have some number 1 pick odds here. This has been updated as well. Bears are heavy favorites here because Carolina is just a really bad football team. They had a chance to beat Tampa Bay yesterday, couldn't do it. Bears have a 75.9% chance to get that top selection. Patriots, though, almost at 20%. Cardinals, and I think that's even closer to 0 because I think they're probably going to win at least 1 more game with Kyler Murray. You need the Panthers to win 1 game. That's what you need. You do that, we'll see where the strength of schedule dominoes fall. Now, full disclosure, I'd be surprised if the Panthers won more than 1 game. I think they could get 1, but I don't see them getting 2. So if the Panthers do win 1 game, that obviously means that New England will have to lose out. But things can change in a hurry, Rolly. And one thing we know for sure with Carolina is they're going to try to win because it's not their own pick. So that at least gives you some hope, especially playing in the NFC South, that maybe, just maybe, they can scrape a win or 2.
Listen, I sneaky think that they are going to win a game here, Harrison. You look at their schedule, and yes, they are a really bad team, but Derek Carr isn't going to be playing this week, in all likelihood. Maybe he does play, maybe he doesn't play.
Even if he does, I think that's at least a chance. New Orleans has been struggling.
I mean, yes, it's in Louisiana, but the Saints have been absolutely horrific this season. They did almost come back against the Lions, but they've been bad for most of the year. Then you have the Falcons at home, and listen, the Falcons lead that division at 6-6, but they play a bad brand of football. That could easily be a low-scoring win for Carolina. The way Green Bay and Jacksonville are playing, it's probably very unlikely that they beat them. But then Week 18 at home against the Buccaneers, they could have easily won that game this past Sunday. I think that game at home to close out can be a game they win. And the reason why I think they do win a game, I'm picking them to win one of those last 5. Because usually, Harrison, as a team in the Panthers' shoes, you'd want to lose to get a better pick and potentially get that top pick. But they don't want to lose because that pick is going to the Chicago Bears. And obviously, they want to start instilling a winning culture with Bryce Young, who was the number 1 pick last season. They traded up from 9-1 to get there. They're going to want to win, so they're going to try as hard as possible to win games down the stretch.
I think you also have to factor in that you've got interim coaches in place. Like, these guys want to put their best foot forward because in reality, a lot of these guys are going to be looking for coaching jobs elsewhere. So they don't want to be known around the league as guys who just helped this team tank and couldn't even win a single game down the stretch. So Carolina is going to try to win. You've got 3 winnable games coming up. I'm with you. I don't think Jacksonville or Green Bay are that realistic, but I think those home games against the Bucs and the Falcons, those are the 2 you got to be thinking. If you could get one of those, then obviously for New England, that opens up the door to potentially get that top selection. And in New England's side of things, Rolly, I would say their schedule is definitely tougher because those middle 3 games in particular feel like ultimate long shots. I think this week has become at least plausible all of a sudden with no Kenny Pickett. Not that Kenny Pickett, Mitch Trubisky, probably that big of a deal, but that Steelers offense has struggled all year, Rolly. So if you lose this one to Pittsburgh, then it probably comes down to Week 18 if this team's going to win another game or not, because I don't think they're beating KC, Denver, or Buffalo, especially those second two on the road.
Yeah, we've talked about this a little bit in the past, but it's like, even with Pittsburgh rolling with Mitch Trubisky on this Thursday, which, by the way, we're going to be live for that game. I'll be hosting a watch party, so make sure you subscribe for that as well and tune in for Thursday Night Football.
Rolly is going to have his Tank Commander hat on.
I just came up with an idea.
Stay tuned.
I will save it for Thursday. I won't spoil it. But think about the game here. Like, the Patriots are going to have to score points to win. Yes, it was a monsoon yesterday, but they couldn't score any points against the Los Angeles Chargers. The Steelers have one of the best defenses and pass rushes in football. Do you really think New England's going to be able to score more than 7-10 points in that game?
Not.
And maybe the Patriots can hold the Steelers to under 10 points and hold their opponent to that level for the fourth straight game. But honestly, I could see this game absolutely finishing 7-3 in favor of Pittsburgh. You're not beating Kansas City. The way Denver's playing, you're not going to Denver and beating them. You're not beating Buffalo. Maybe you can beat the Jets in Week 18, but still, I think this team is going to finish 2-15. It's just the way they're playing right now. So if Carolina does pick up one win down the stretch, see where the strength of schedule falls. But the number one pick is absolutely in play for New England, which just would open up tons of opportunities, whether it be Caleb, Drake. Hell, maybe you could even do what the Bears might do if they have that number one pick and trade back and take Marvin Harrison Jr. It's just a load of possibilities.
The one wild card in all of this is Bill Belichick going to lose 10 in a row to end his tenure in New England? Like, you got to think he's not going to try to do that. Like, he's going to try and win games here. So we'll see. I don't think they're that capable to win games, but you know, I could see a scenario where they win one down the stretch. Now, what do you guys think? What pick do you think the Patriots end up with? I think we're in agreement on this, Rolly. They will be picking in the top two, barring something unforeseen. So type 1 if you think they're getting the number one pick. Type 2 if it's the number 2. And quite frankly, may not matter. You get a top 2 pick, Caleb Williams, Drake Maye, you get one of them. That's all that matters. By the way, Caleb Williams not playing in the bowl game, so the whole, he could go back to school. Yeah, he hasn't announced he's going to the draft.
Goodness.
But he's kind of announced it by not announcing it. Like, you're not skipping the bowl game and then going back to school. So Caleb Williams will be entering the draft, which is good news for New England because that means if they do get the number 2 pick, one of Williams or Drake Maye will be available. Okay, we are sponsored by Prize Picks here on today's show. I actually hit on my 3-player entry yesterday, which included Bailey Zappi going less than his passing yards. So shout out to the Zap man on that one. PrizePicks.com/CLNS. It's daily fantasy made easy. Code CLNS. Get you a deposit match up to $100. I'm back at it tonight, anywhere from 2 to 6-player entries. I just got a little 2-player entry for Monday Night Football. Jake Browning, give me the less. I was surprised his passing yards were this high. I know the Jags' pass defense has struggled a bit, but I don't see him going for 219+ tonight, filling in for Joe Burrow. I got less there. And then Travis Etienne's been a workhorse all year. Give me the more on his rushing yards. 10 to win 30 on that one. You can win up to 25 times your money on any given entry with Prize Picks. Join celebrities like Meek Mill and Andrew Schultz who play Prize Picks on a daily basis. PrizePicks.com/CLNS to get started. Our code CLNS is going to get you a deposit match up to $100. That link and code are in the description and comments of this video. So you look at some potential targets if you do land the number 1 pick, and quite frankly, number 2 as well. 2 of these 3 guys would still be there. Caleb Williams, USC quarterback, who I just mentioned, is kind of unofficially announced he is going to go pro. Drake Maye, we fully expect to go pro. Same with Marvin Harrison Jr. You're in a good spot, Rolly. This is not only a good draft, but it's very good draft at the top. Like, sometimes you get these drafts, they're more like depth drafts. Like the year Kenny Pickett, Malik Willis came out. Bad draft at the top because there wasn't those quarterbacks there. But not only do you have 2 strong quarterbacks, but you also have a generational talent at wide receiver in Marvin Harrison Jr.
Yeah, no, listen, Patriots fans, we've been spoiled over the last 24 seasons. The last 4, maybe not so much, but the previous 20 were just absolutely phenomenal with Bill Belichick and Tom Brady. And listen, we're kind of lucky once again. I know this season and really last year has just been an absolute disaster and frustrating product to watch on the football field every Sunday, but the time that New England decides to be a bottom 2 team in all football, they are getting blessed with one of the best top 3 draft classes in recent memory. When you talk about those two QBs, this is maybe the best two QB duo in the draft since people are talking about RG3 and Andrew Luck almost a decade ago. And then you pair it up with one of the best wide receiver prospects we've seen in the last decade. I mean, New England is very fortunate that they're choosing to be a bottom 3 team in football in this year. And it just opens up, like I mentioned, loads of possibilities. Like, Harrison, you said this, I agree. Like, the biggest need for New England is you need quarterback, so either Drake or Caleb. But if you still went with the Marvin Harrison Jr. route, like, sure, it'd be frustrating to miss out on a franchise quarterback possibly, but that dude's also guaranteed to be a top 10 wide receiver in football, it feels like.
Yeah, I mean, he's guaranteed to be good, I would say, whereas we know with quarterbacks, it's never a guarantee. So you're in a great situation. You have two very highly regarded quarterbacks, which, yes, no one is bust-proof, especially at that position, and a receiver that is as close to bust-proof as you possibly could have in Marvin Harrison. Like, if he doesn't work out in the NFL, it's probably something that comes up off the field. Like, I just don't see any situation where his talent does not translate. So New England's in a good spot. Roley outlined it perfectly. Like, if this happened a couple of years ago in that Malik Willis, Kenny Pickett draft, potential disaster. But you're in a good draft to be picking at the top. And again, barring a surprise kind of 2 or 3 wins over the final 5 games, you're going to be picking in the top 2 and potentially number 1 overall, which means you could hold the cards to this NFL draft. And having that power is obviously a very, very good thing. And the question's going to be is, who's going to decide what to do with that pick? That's the very fascinating part about this as well. Would you consider Marvin Harrison Jr. over the 2 quarterbacks? Type Y for yes, type in for no. I don't think for New England you can. I think you got to go Caleb or Drake in that situation. Now, if New England's picking 2, Roley, and they really like one quarterback over the other, and the one they like is gone, maybe you go Marvin in that scenario, but I still think if you're in the top 2, you're taking one of these quarterbacks.
Yeah, I agree. But the best thing about the New England scenario, and it's why I'm kind of an optimistic fan in the point of I think the Patriots could absolutely bounce back and compete next season because everything is on the table. You can explore all avenues with rebuilding this roster. Why, you asked? Well, the projected cap space for New England currently sits at $76 million, which that would be amongst top of the league, and you could easily get that closer to $90 million just with a few cuts, a.k.a. J.C. Jackson. Who knows if they keep him next year? I probably lean not if it's going to clean up double-digit $1 million in cap space just because of his off-the-field concerns as well as his play on the field hasn't been that good as well.
And to be frank, if you cut him, I think the Bears will tag Jalen Johnson, but if he became available, you could use the money on him, who's a clear upgrade. L'Jarius Sneed with the Chiefs, I think they might let him walk because they're going to try and bring back Chris Jones. He's an upgrade, so like you can clear up that money and just reuse it by replacing him with a better player at that position if you wanted to.
Well, yeah, the point is, Harrison, with free agency coming before the draft, and you have probably going to be close to $90 million in cap space. You can decide what you want to do going into the draft before it actually comes about. Like, if you want to go the rookie quarterback route, well, just spend a shit ton of that money maybe on a wide receiver in free agency because this is a pretty good class. You also can upgrade the offensive line at the 2 tackle spots in free agency and just completely overhaul this offense and re-sign maybe some of your guys on the defensive side because that side's been good, and then go into the draft knowing we're taking quarterback in the top 2, maybe number 1 overall, and then we could just address everything else in the later portion of the draft. But the ability to be free going into free agency with a shit ton of cap space, that is very luxurious, and it's going to allow you to potentially build a roster around a rookie quarterback very quickly, and then you'll always be able to continue that cap space because you'll have a quarterback at least on a rookie contract over the next 5 seasons.
The combination of major cap space and a very high draft pick is very enticing, which is why you also have to figure out the Belichick side of this. Like, do you want him running the show? Because, like, this is a pivotal offseason for this franchise, not just for next year, but I'd say for the next half decade at least. So that decision is going to be interesting as well, which is why the people need to subscribe, because Roley and I are going to be here for all of it. Tons of content to come, tons of rumors to cover, news, and our thoughts on where this franchise should go this offseason. We'll, of course, keep up to date with what's happening during the season, but mostly how it relates to the offseason, because that's the important thing at this point in time. So subscribe, join the channel. We'll see you guys soon.